Welcome back, everyone, to Breaking Apart.
What
Another
up, Ruby?
episode. What's up? I'm sorry, I'm a little off. I was thrown off by all the combs I had to look at on my way here. Welcome back to Girl
Um,
Ruby.
You know what? Like, talking about that, I've been here forever. I've been here for almost 20 years, and I don't think Vegas has ever not been under construction.
No,
Ever.
ever. But we are a growing city. We're young. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I remember when we used to drive from Cali, they used to be like, if you ever get lost, look at the stratosphere, look at the Luxor light. Remember, you'll find your family like that. Nobody goes to the stratosphere no more.
No.
No. We don't even mention, it's not called the stratosphere.
What is it called?
The strat.
The Strat.
Because you gotta be,
It's hood now.
yeah. Anyways, how was your week?
It's good. It was really, really good. I have had a very peaceful. Nothing crazy has happened. I know I have. I'm pretty excited that I can say I had a really chill, couple of days. The weekend was good. My kids are good. So
Well, Manny's off the cast. My son was in the cast about
That's
7
right.
months out of the past year. And then also, I want to give like a shout out.
yeah, we should always give people shout outs.
I don't know who this is for, but I know someone's sending my son's dad videos of the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all the views. Just make sure you send all of them. Okay. Make
Leave a
sure he
comment.
gets the one at the club where he served me. Make sure he gets every single one of them because he had a blast watching it. You know, there's no bad blood. So I don't know what you thought you were doing, but every view counts. So make sure you send it to him again. Okay. So shout out to everyone at the barbershop. And
Shout
I
out.
want to make sure that we threw that out there.
You guys give a like,
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah. Don't be a chismoso and not give us likes and subscribe. If you're going to be a chismoso, you better like it.
This is
Right.
a safe space.
Very safe.
So it's okay if you comment, you like.
Yeah.
We're not going to judge you.
All criticism is taken. We
Mhm.
appreciate you guys. I mean, look at Jenny.
I'm obsessed.
Sorry,
I'm
last
obsessed.
69. So we'll take all of it. You know
I'm like,
what
I'm
saying?
obsessed. You know what? I have to say that I'm really proud of her because it takes guts.
I'm
And
really
she has
proud
a
of
lot
her
of
because
guts.
she does not care.
She
And you
doesn't
know,
care.
I mean, on that level, there's other things I'm not very proud of, but I feel like, man, this girl really is like chasing her dream. She doesn't care about, what anyone has to say. And good for her. I need that because I feel like sometimes I filter myself a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want people to say certain things. But I mean,
Yeah.
my son's dad saw it, so I don't have to filter nothing no more. But
Well, I do want to say one thing about my week and my past almost 2 weeks. So I have a really, really dear friend of mine who is a foster mom, and she actually got like a placement and it's a little baby, and I get to watch him until the whole daycare stuff goes on, kind of help her out, and that's actually bringing us to something that is very dear and near to us.
yeah.
Ruby.
Yeah, so today's show clearly is going to be on foster care. It's human trafficking and foster care are two things that I want to do a lot of shows on. I actually get to work with foster care a little bit. I work with a nonprofit called Fostering Hope. I lead a group of people and we assist families that have foster children and we make sure they're not missing anything. We feed them once a week, home cooked meals, so the parents don't have to cook. So it's like super, 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 super important to me. I'm super open to not foster care. I'm not gonna say I am because I'll fight somebody real quick. I don't have the patience, but I'm really open to adoption.
But you'll fight who?
Whoever whoever's gonna hurt these kids, like it doesn't really
Okay,
matter.
I just want to get that straight. You're gonna fight the parents.
yeah, and the system, because the system is bigger issue than the parents. But anyways, we'll talk about it. But we're gonna have two people in the studio. One of them, actually, I'm gonna introduce him first. You guys have heard him, but you've never seen him.
That's true, right?
This is the Bush that we talked about. Remember when he was like, "I'm the word of God." This is him, and he's actually gonna be on our show now. So go ahead and introduce yourself formally, sir.
What's good, ladies? Jose V. Appreciate you allowing me to chop it up with you guys. Of course, before I was behind the board, so you wouldn't able to see me You can just hear me, like I said, the voice of God coming down. But yeah, man, I like what you guys are doing. So definitely,
Thank you.
it's
Thank
good
you.
topics of conversation for sure.
Thank you, and welcome.
Welcome.
It's good to have you on this side.
No, right?
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we also have with us my very dear friend, Jasmine. And Jasmine, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jasmine. No. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited and I'm nervous, but it's an important topic, and I'm happy to be able to spread some knowledge on foster care.
Yes. That's
Yes.
what we're about here. We talk about that. We originally, when Ruby started this podcast, we talked about what the point of it was, and it was to learn. So we want to learn about what everyone's struggle is, things they go through, because obviously we don't all have the same battle, and we want to learn from everybody. That way, the more you know about other people's problems, things that are going on, the more compassion that you have for humanity. I
Just
think.
understanding.
Mhm.
I think a lot of the issues we have in today's society is misunderstanding, being misinformed. So like that's why we're like, okay, we want to get foster care, we want to get human trafficking, we want to get everything we can possibly get. So now that you're a foster mom, like just give us a rundown of actually just tell us the history, like what made you want to be a foster mom, because that's like special. I mean, that's not for everyone.
It's not. I think there's two reasons. The main reason is it was really a calling for me. It's something that I always wanted to do. I felt in my heart adoption, but then when you think of adoption, you also it's not easy to adopt. So you find other ways to be able to help out the kids, and foster care came up. And also you can adopt out of foster care. So that's my other reason. I would hope to be able to get an adoption out of foster care. They don't like you to say foster to adopt. They don't they
No.
don't like that, but it happens a lot more often than you would think.
Yes.
But those are my two reasons. It was definitely a calling.
And as we speak, there's the baby.
Right, there's my little guy. And hopefully be able to adopt eventually.
So as far as like the system, for the people that don't know how the system works, so kids get placed, they're called temp homes. They get placed with foster parents, and sometimes the goal is to get siblings together, because I don't think people realize how many of these kids are siblings, right? Because 80% of the time there's more than one.
Right.
Right. It's like an ongoing issue. And then the way it works is there's no permanent time on when you're going to keep this child. So if the parent is in prison or the parent has an addiction and the parent decides they're clean, they're able to fight this baby back. Right. And the
Right.
system seems to be very lenient to
Very,
giving these
very
kids
lenient.
back.
Yeah.
Right. So how scared are you, or what kind of emotions are running knowing that at any time the system can be like, oh, well, this child might have been abandoned, but it's cool. They're going to go back to their parents' house, because that's literally how it works, right?
It's exactly how it works. That's actually what I'm going through right now. You feel every single emotion. And this is my 5th placement in 1 year. I've had one beautiful reunification, because that's the foster care goal, is to reunify with family. So I am grateful for that experience. But yeah, it's not always that way. And the emotions, they're hard. All my friends call me crazy. You're crazy. How can you do this? How do you not get attached? And you do, but that's something that you need to know going into it. You're going to get attached, obviously, because the children are beautiful and you love them and you know they need a safe place to be. But you have to remember what the goal is. And not all parents are wanting to be in bad situations. Not all parents are bad. But it's rare when it's that case. So it's great when you can be reunified, but not all cases.
I got a question
Turn out
for
that
you.
way.
How do you prepare yourself mentally for something like that? Because that's like being in a relationship and then breaking up and then getting in a new relationship and breaking up. Like, you're doing it over and over again if you have to put those kids back into their homes. How do you prepare yourself for something like that?
I don't think you can, honestly. You have to remember, number one, you didn't put them there. I always tell myself, I did not put these kids in this situation. And you have to remember the work that you're doing at the moment. Even if you're unhappy with the situation or the way the system works or the decisions that the judges make, because they're in charge of the lives of these kids. ultimately.
Yeah.
They decide what ends up happening to them. So there's no really way to prepare a huge support system. I mean, taking a break in between placements. But yeah, you kind of just have to like go into it with everything. And
So, I'm sorry, I have all these questions because
Yeah, go for it.
I kind of know, like, volunteering. So a lot of people have this bad perception of foster parents. Of course, there's good and bad and everything, but a lot of people say people do it for the money. Now, let's talk about the money side of things so people can understand exactly what that means, right? Because I know for foster kids, they do get like Medicaid or
Yeah.
Medicare.
they get Medicaid.
Medicaid. They get EBT.
No.
No, okay.
So
yeah.
WIC.
WIC. They get WIC.
Up until 5 years old.
Up until 5 years old. So they get Medicaid and then they get WIC. What other kind of assistance do they give to the kids? Because I know they get assistance, but there's no level of assistance you guys get mentally and emotionally, which I think people miss that part. Like, it's very emotionally and mentally frustrating for the foster parent. But what does the like government do for the children in the process of being placed in the foster care?
So I'll use my placement that I have now as an example. When I picked him up, I got 3 outfits. No, he's 4 months old. No bottles, no formula, no diapers. And I mean, they're doing the best that they can too,
Yeah.
But then I have to pay out of pocket. I couldn't just go home with this baby without formula.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to go into it on your own at first. And then, like, I need daycare. They will provide, not the daycare, but they'll pay for the daycare. So that helps a lot. That's one thing I don't have to worry about. They do provide that. It's called Urban League. And even people that aren't foster parents or foster kids can actually use Urban League. So if anybody
There's
needs
also
some help,
something
some
called
assistance.
there's something called Hannah's Closet.
Yes, Hannah's Closet.
Hannah's
So-
Closet. I actually donate clothes to them. They actually foster parents get to go into Hannah's Closet,
Yep.
right? And get free
Go
clothes.
shopping.
Yeah. So Hannah's Closet, if you guys have clothes to donate, Hannah's Closet,
Yes.
they literally provide foster parents with clothes. Like, so it's
Free,
an amazing
right?
Yes. So
and
you can
homeless
go,
children too.
Yeah, you can go once a month and you can pick out 5 outfits, shoes if the kids are in shoes, toys. If they have diapers or formula that you're using, they'll give that to you too. So you can go once a month. It's awesome. So definitely donate to Hannah's Closet.
You want to read the question? So we have
Oh,
a
yeah.
question.
So, okay, yes.
ahead.
I'll go ahead and read the question. I was like, what's she telling me? But this is actually a good question. This comes from Facebook. LaDonna Shanko Harlan. She states, do you have times when the court says return to the parents and the child desires to stay with you?
Have you had children that old?
So I'm not licensed for that old, but I'm on a foster group, and that comes up a lot with foster parents who do have older kids, and there are situations where the kids want to stay with the foster parents, but they do not have a say.
Wow.
Yeah,
That makes me so sad.
it's really sad.
It is bad. You don't. This foster system is so bad on both ends. Like both ends. Like foster parents, it's so hard to find good ones, and then like, I mean, yeah.
I won't call people out, but I got family members that have done it for the wrong reasons. They don't treat the kids wrong, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they're not doing it for the kids more than anything.
Right.
They do it because it's a paycheck.
That's
And they
what
have
I'm
a big
saying, yeah.
house and they have more rooms and they have that. And that's what sucks, because when there's people out there that are doing it for the wrong reasons,
Right.
the kids don't get the help that they need.
Right. 100%.
Exactly. I remember in high school, there was a lot of kids in my school, not my high school, sorry, my junior high, and they were foster kids, and they would tell us, I mean, my foster family, they're just doing it for the money. They don't care about us. They give us like the minimal, and then, whatever money they get, most of it gets spent on them and like to pay for whatever they need. And they're like, yeah, they give us like the bare minimum, And so, and the kids know this. So the kids already like, I felt like these kids already come from a broken home, right? They get taken out of their home into the foster care system. They get put in a placement where they're supposed to be, a loving home, people that actually want to have them there. And then they realize like, okay, these people don't actually want me. They want what comes with me. And so then that creates more trauma for these teenagers or these children. So I have never forgotten that conversation that I had with a couple of kids in my junior high, because I think I was complaining about my parents, and I was just like, oh, my parents, blah, blah, blah. And this girl was like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And she really shut me up. I
You
was
have
just
no
like,
idea how good you have it until somebody else lets you know.
Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what she was, implying, and it stayed ingrained in my brain, and I was like, wow, that
So
is so true.
we have like another question. It says, do you believe foster parents should seek ongoing mental health counseling to maintain mental stability?
Yeah, I'm pro therapy and all of that. I think it should be talked about more. It's definitely not, because I mean, the honest truth, foster care is mostly sad than happy.
Yeah.
You're happy obviously when you have the kids with you and you're doing those fun things with them and stuff, but it's mostly really sad. It's hard.
It's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah. So I mean, there's resources. There's definitely resources, and you have your people that reach out to you, like foster care champions. They'll reach out to you. Do you need anything? How are you doing? And your licensing workers and things like that. But I feel like we don't utilize it. It's not really
Like
talked
most
about.
programs, like
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So like MGM Properties, I actually just had a conversation with people the other day. MGM Properties, I don't know that I mean, I'm sure Caesars and Stations do it too, but they do a lot of fundraisers, right?
Mhm.
Yearly. So what happens is the employees go in and they donate so much stuff, right? And the cool part is that we feel good, but the bad part is it's their write off, right? So I had just said I had an idea that we should start a page where every year, every quarterly change of weather, we can actually have like donation drives. So instead of people only feeling like they can do it at work, now they're able to have these donation drives, and we can like connect different type of people, and kind of have these drives. So that was just kind of an idea. I don't know how you if you think that would be helpful. I know there's like a huge like homeless shelter for kids. I actually I broke my nail because in the car I went to CVS, just to let just to let everyone know. CVS has like these like big sanitizer like rolls and like sanitizer like bottles, and the rolls are 59 cents, and like the little bottles are 29 cents. I literally went and took everything and broke my nail. But in my trunk, I couldn't even get them in. I have them in right now because I'm gonna donate them to the homeless shelter for the kids. But there's so many programs, like you said. As a foster parent, is there something like you would like to see more of from other foster parents or from the community who is not in foster?
So we have a really big community on Facebook. We have tons of groups, and we're actually a really close-knit community, and we're always on there posting things that we have that we want to give away or asking for things, and we're really good with helping each other out. I think a lot of people forget about DV, domestic violence, and women that are in the shelters. They didn't ask to be put in that situation and get their kids taken away. And if people can donate to the women's shelters, Safe Nest, probably more help with that as well, because sometimes they can take their kids there, and they can,
okay.
and moms can sometimes keep their kids with them at Safe Nest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what do we have to provide for them to be able to keep the kids there? Like, what is short? Why are they not keeping their kids there? I guess will be my question. Do you know?
I think it's just case by case.
Okay.
So it just depends. Yeah.
So we got another question from Facebook for you.
Yeah.
Is there a case manager that monitors how the foster parent cares for the kids?
We get visits once a month.
Okay. Do you think that's
Are
enough?
they unannounced, or are they tell you, hey, we're coming this day, or is it like surprise to make sure to catch you on your toes type of thing?
They'll tell you, and they are supposed to do unannounced. It's rare. You probably will need to have the child for a few months before they start doing unannounced visits. But for the most part, they let you know. Caseworkers have a really hard job. They have a really hard job, and there's not enough of caseworkers, and they have a lot of kids on their plate, and they don't always get around as often as they should or are able to.
Maybe you should tell your case worker. I was a
You
manager.
got it? Can you let it out?
Case worker. I know, to come on the show so we can get their side, because a lot of times people really do be thinking like
It's
like,
their fault.
It's
Yeah.
their fault. Like they suck.
Yeah, and I think they have that reputation.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. I do. Some of them do suck, but most of them are really great. And you can't have that job and be doing it for any other reason, because it's so stressful.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like, hey, I'm going to be a caseworker because it's like loads of fun and I make tons of money. Like, no. They work really hard and they work long hours. And yeah, caseworkers deserve love too.
Caseworkers and child services, or what is
CPS.
it? CPS. They're two different things.
They are. So there's different types of caseworkers. So you
Okay.
start off with a CPS caseworker. So that's
Okay.
the one that at the beginning. And then once they know that that child is going to be with you for a long period of time, then you get a permanency worker.
I'm just wondering who was taking care of Gabriel.
Yeah.
What level, right? Because like I don't understand the tiers. So someone failed him clearly, and I think that's why people feel like, what are they doing? You know, what are these case like workers doing?
There's so
Overworked.
many, and there's so many kids, and they're so overworked. But that's not an excuse,
No,
Right.
it's not.
you know.
and
like
the teachers, like what you know, they need to be a little more involved too.
Well, I thought the teacher did report several
she did
times.
several times.
Several
Yeah.
times.
I mean, at what point? What was she supposed to do? Just like take him, and then what? That's kidnapping. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, that was her last resort. Was just to take him under her wing and take care of him. But she wasn't allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy how, you know, a parent can abandon a child or a parent can do that, you know, something like that that's harmful for your child. And the system will try really hard to get you to unify with your kid again. But if a really good person wants to take that child to help them because the parent doesn't really want them, then that's a crime.
Right. It's not accepted.
It's not accepted. That's
Yeah.
a crime, like, you know. But what do you think is something that you would say needs improvement in the foster care system?
That's a deep question. A lot of things. I think it's nothing that we can change, honestly. I think the system is flawed.
Yeah.
I can only say so much, but I will say the system is flawed. And I feel like kids do fall through the cracks. And I think that they focus too much on reunifying the kids with the parents, which, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Like, you created this child. You should be their parent if you really want to be in their lives.
Right.
But if you don't, and this child's been in a foster home for 2 years and you're still not getting it together, like, let's get some stability in this child's life.
Correct.
Like, you're just going to pretty much give them to a stranger because they don't even know them anymore. So I think I think laws need to change.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more compassion. And I feel like they care about the parents so much. Like, they don't care about the kids.
Yeah.
It's really strange to me when they're supposed to be the priority. They remove them from the home because they're in danger, but then they're so quick, like, hurry up. Let's get visits started with the parents and let's hurry up and get them a plan. And I'm just like, calm down.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's more to this than just like, let's hurry up and get these kids back in this home, because then it's going to happen again. Foster kids go through the system at least 5 times.
Wow.
That to me is unacceptable.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just not okay.
And I agree with you saying the system is flawed. I know we're going to talk about this in another time, you said, but think about this. They're quick to give women their kids back, right? Whether they're going through something or they think, oh, it's better, let's get them back into their home. But yet you have a father that's doing good, trying to pay child support, has a great job, and the mother's treating him like crap and going through everything and not using the money for the right stuff. But yet the father can't get help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shows you how flawed just the whole child care system in general is, because we're quick to give, with all due respect, a drug addict mother or even father that hasn't fully recovered or cleaned themselves. We're trying to find a way to get their kids back to them.
Yeah.
But yet when you have other systems not doing the right things in other places, it hurts it all the way around. So I agree with you. I think I've never been in foster care. I know friends that have. I've never had a foster child or anything like that. But I agree with you. I think the system is completely flawed because there's too many kids that go back into the wrong homes or in the wrong situation. They're not mentally right. Their parents aren't mentally right. They're not even physically, emotionally, or anything right. But yet you're trying to stuff them back into that
Yeah.
environment, and it's not good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I think I saw a case on that where the dad was fighting for his daughter, I think, like a lot. And there was even proof that the mom was being abusive or the mom's boyfriend. And then it went on and he was fighting and fighting, and the courts were just kind of like blowing him off. And then they ended up, you know, killing his daughter.
I actually
That's
have
great.
a crazy story like that too. I have a friend. His son's mom took him away. He didn't know where. Took him years to find out where. Finally found out where. He filed motion, and they're like, well, you haven't seen your kid. He's like, yeah, shit, I haven't seen him because I didn't know where he was at. So he started fighting for the kid. And then they were going back and forth. So they were like, well, you're going to start with visitations. He's like, no, listen, I have to take my kid. Grandma was a PO. She gave him all the proof he needed to fight for this court. They didn't care. They were like, no, well, you haven't been around. 3 a.m, I get a phone call one day. He killed the girl and left the kids on the side of the road, and they couldn't find the kids.
Oh my gosh.
So then, no, hold on. They still didn't want to give him his son, right? Because he hadn't been there for a couple years. So they gave it to the grandma. They gave the son to the grandma. So at that point, you're kind of like, help me understand how you, with a doctor's degree and study in this, thinks this is okay, right? Like, this kid could have been killed. Thank Jesus that someone protected these children, because it was like a whole thing. So it's kind of like, how do we fight that? Like, this is stuff like, I don't march with many things. I don't care to march for many things, but this is one of the things that's like dear to me. How do we come together as people and say, like, enough is enough? There's so many other things that are getting attention that are not where half as damaging as what these kids are going through. How do we get together? Like, how can we literally fight for this and wake up people to be like, man, this country is falling apart because these children are falling apart. And I don't think people understand that's where it starts.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
agree.
that. It's true.
So like,
Petitions, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to change the minds of judges and things like that and make laws change. I mean,
Yeah, it's not easy.
I think everyone feels passionate about that, our kids and the best for them. And I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that I came on here, because now I might even like really look into like what we can do. Like, is there a petition that we can do? What action can we really take?
yeah.
So we got another question for you on Facebook.
Yeah.
As a foster parent, do you have any say in the reunification process?
No, we, foster parents get the low end of the stick of everything. The ones putting in the work and the love and changing their lives completely, they're the ones that get the low end of the stick. We don't get any say in anything. I mean, I try to advocate for the children in my home as much as I can, because their voice can't be heard. I'm licensed. I was 0 to 4, now I'm 0 to 1, so they really can't vouch for themselves. I try to, but it doesn't matter what I say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Come on now, you're drinking water tonight
I
too.
know.
Really?
I couldn't make stop today, them cones.
The Nevada State flower, the
I know.
nice orange cone.
Oh my goodness. Do you what was I gonna ask you? I don't know what I was gonna ask her.
Dum, dum, dum,
It'll
dum,
come back.
dum.
It'll come back. Someone else is gonna.
So what made you want to say this is what I want to do in life? Like I want to be a foster parent. Like why would you take that leap? Not saying it's a bad thing, but why would you want to know that I'm going to have to be the rebuilding process of these kids' lives and they might not be here moving forward with me?
I don't think I really knew the extent of it, like what I was really getting into. You do an 8-week course.
Okay.
So they make you do an 8-week course to become a foster parent. And they, once a week, try to teach you how to handle different situations. And I don't think there's any course I can ever prepare you.
How long is this course?
8 weeks. One class a week.
That's
And then
crazy.
you have your home study. So you have to have your home set up. And that's what blows my mind too. So I have to get background checked, fingerprinted. I have to have someone in my home, literally all up in my house, taking pictures, everything. We got sat down and asked personal questions about our lives just to have a child in our home. But then you can be a meth addict and get your baby back in a couple months.
So how do you
That
get
is crazy.
how do you
It's
get
intense.
bad foster parents if it's that, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get those abusive, like, sexual, like, you know what I mean?
They're probably just putting up a front.
Yeah.
They're making themselves out to be these great people, and then behind closed doors,
Yeah.
they are their true selves.
That's true. Because I don't think that, there's anything in their home that's going to say that that's what they are. You know what I mean? Until they
Yeah.
get caught, then obviously. But they could be
And they
really
do get
good.
caught. They do. But I honestly, obviously, the bad ones aren't going to be out there. But I know so many good foster parents, and that makes me really happy that there's so many good ones out there. But I've heard of a couple cases where kids got removed, and they eventually find out. They do. And the kids that can speak, they speak up, because the older ones, when they come to visit the home and the child, they'll take them separately and talk to them.
Have you ever had any, if you can talk about this, kids that you've fostered that have, that aggressive personality where you can tell that there was a lot of trauma in the home prior to coming to yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my last placement. I don't know why I did this, but I opened up my second bed. So you can choose how many beds you want to have open. So I decided, something told me, like, take on 2 kids. You can do it. There's 75 kids in Child Haven right now. Most of them are siblings. It is very rare to find a foster family that takes more than 1 child. So I was like, you know what? There's a need for it. Let me try it out. I got brothers, 2 years old and 3.5. First of all, toddlers are toddlers, and then trauma on top of that. Oh man, these poor babies, you can tell they were left home alone, and they were in a bad situation. They were very aggressive. They were violent. They were self-harming, and at such a young age, you're like 2 years old, your little mind, how can you possibly know to, like, hurt yourself?
Wow.
Curse words like crazy. I got bit, scratched.
Hold on. And you can't even put hands on
You
them.
cannot. Your discipline. Yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm a mom. I have about to be a 13-year-old, and I've never disciplined that way. But he just wasn't that kind of kid. But yeah, some kids, sometimes they do need a little tap, like, I'm not against it, but we're not allowed to. We can't touch them. We can't do, like, any harsh discipline. It's mostly redirection.
We need to redirect those parents.
That's what they
is
always
they need
ask
to
me.
do. They need to
Can you
tap
foster the parents?
Can we foster the
Redirection.
parents? Yeah,
that would
you're
be
right.
interesting.
Can we take the parents in for a week or a month? Like,
Adult foster care.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's too
Come on,
funny.
Ruby. You gotta get in. You gotta get
So,
in motion of the camera there.
I know I'm gonna get into this. I know a lot of times people feel some type of way about this, but what is the need for people of color to become foster parents? I know I've had like encounters where I've seen people be upset that people that are non-color have foster kids that are colored because they feel like they're not gonna understand them. But I feel like there's a big need. I mean, in the foster community for minorities, that's including Latinos and that's including people of color, right? In general, across the board. I feel like there's not enough support from those communities. Do you feel that way in the community? Like there's not enough minorities who have their hand in, and there's so many minority children in the system?
Yeah, you can say that. I don't have statistics. I wish I would have prepared myself better. But I feel like, yeah, there could be more. But at the end of the day, any safe home is a good home for a child. So I did have my third placement was a little girl, African American. And the one thing that the parents worry about is how you're going to take care of their hair and things like that. And I'm telling you right now, like I was like, okay, send me information, Facebook group, like who does your foster's hair and stuff like that. So you have a lot of foster parents that they're willing to learn themselves or reach out to people to, like I had a lady come to the house every 4 weeks and she did her hair, So, I mean,
you're worried about her hair. You should be worried about being a parent, right? Like,
right.
Like,
yeah, I had some issues. I had some issues
I'm
with
like,
that
worry about
mama.
my daughter's hair. Ma'am, worry about getting better for your daughter.
But do you want to know what it is? That's the only control they have
Yeah.
with
I
their
agree.
child, because they're technically in my custody, even though they have rights. The rights aren't terminated. Which I actually got her hair done one time and her mom didn't like it and she went nuts. And I was like, wow, you're ungrateful. And that is so rude. Your daughter just sat here for 3 hours getting her hair done and I had to take it out.
Does
Wow.
Yeah.
are you allowed to tap the parents? They need a little tap sometimes. Or what happens in that situation?
No, but I mean, I was straight up with her because I'm not going to get walked all over.
Okay.
You know, I do. And I know as far as I can go. But she's the only one so far that's ever pushed me to needing to tell her something. And if she would have came at me differently, I would have respected her as the mom. If she was like, thank you so much, I really appreciate you, but this is just something that I don't like doing for her. Like, is there something else we can do? But she did not come at me like that. Yeah.
I could, yeah.
Yeah. So I did. I told her
How many
I felt.
teenagers are there? Are teenagers kind of neglected? Have you noticed that? Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
No one wants to deal with the teens.
I mean, I've thought there was a time when, you know, my son was in his like early teens and he has a best friend that they don't really talk anymore, but they grew up together, and he was always telling us his problems. And there was like, I had this compassion for teenagers, you know, this huge compassion for this kid who obviously is aware of everything that's going on. He's hurting. It's affecting him. He thinks it's his fault for some reason. And I was like, oh my God, if you know what I mean? Like, I would take in teens. I think I would, you know. I know it's really hard. I've heard that having teens is like really difficult, but I don't know. I just think if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You
See,
know?
if I was a foster parent, I would have to take younger kids. Like, I have teenagers now. I have a 17 and 16-year-old. 17-year-old is driving me crazy right now. She's a full-time student. She has a full-time job now, but they get the little attitude from time to time, or I don't want to talk, or this and that. And it's hard to know if they are going through anything or what they're going through, because they think they know it all already. And
Damn,
we've all
sounds
been
familiar,
there. You know what I mean? Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had that know-it-all mentality when we were kids. So I think if I was going to be a foster parent, I would probably have to, I'm a lot more calm and patient with, you know, babies and smaller kids than teenagers, man. They're tough.
I would take teenagers.
They challenge you
I like it.
and they
Let's
know
do
that
it.
they can.
Yeah.
But that's what they need, a foster parent that's not going to give up on them.
Yep.
They
Yes.
need someone, like, if they throw a huge tantrum and start throwing things and stuff, aren't like, okay, you're out. That's it.
'Cause that's
they-
what they're expecting.
Yeah, exactly. So they will challenge you, but they need that strong foster parent that's mentally prepared to not give up on them. They just need someone to love on them and not give up on them.
I also I watched this I don't know how I came upon this like YouTube video of this high school girl who was in foster care, and she told her entire story, and she was talking about how being a foster child is also kind of like when you're in an abusive relationship. You want a family so bad that sometimes you're willing to just stick to a family that is not good for you. An abusive family, like sometimes it doesn't even matter. You're like, okay, yeah, this lady's mean to me, but it's better than what I had with my mom and dad, or with my mom. And she's like, that's how desperate we are for families, that we're willing to take whatever, as long as somebody will take us. We want to be adopted so bad, so we settle. And, you know, obviously she ended up finding a really good foster family, and they adopted her, and, you know, she loves it. And you can tell that the feeling is mutual between them, and they didn't give up on her, and she was, you know, pretty wild. But I love that. Like, it made me understand, you know, why sometimes they act out that way as well, because they're used to that abuse. They're used to that type of relationship. And, you know, it made so much sense. She's like, we're desperate for families, you know, so sometimes we'll do anything as long as like they'll take us, and we want to be a part of something. And that just broke my heart. I was like, oh my God, how many teenagers want to come to my house?
So
So
sad.
to
Signing you up, Vanessa.
Yeah. So to add to that, if anyone is going to watch this and wants to do foster care, this is another reason I want to encourage you to take teenagers and older kids. Most of the kids in human trafficking come from foster backgrounds. Most of the strippers, most of the working girls, and I'm not saying all, like, hey, if you're a stripper, I'm not throwing shit at you, but there's a lot of brokenness. And, you know, once a kid is 18, there is no more help past that, right?
Right.
So in foster care, once they turn 18, they don't help them out with filling out college applications, work applications. They have no idea how finances work. You know, you're going from foster family to foster family. You don't even have a job, so you don't know anything, right? So that's another reason I encourage people to adopt, you know, anywhere between middle school to high school. These kids really, that's where you get your dope boys, and that's where you get the drug addiction, Because what happens when you don't know anything, right? It's so easy to be convinced of something. You've never had a family. Now you're a working girl because you think your pimp is your family. And a big percentage of these girls are foster girls. And that's the sad part. And I think people are missing that. We need to really focus on that when it comes to human trafficking, when it comes to, prostitution. A lot of these girls didn't have a home their whole life.
And they don't have a home after, because once they turn 18, I think like the checks stop, right?
Yep.
For the foster
For
family.
everyone.
And so then what happens is, their actual family, obviously nobody wanted them. That's why they're in foster care. So then let's just say they get a bad foster family or something. And then they say, hey, you know what? It's time to go. You're 18. They don't have anywhere to go. Like, unlike somebody else that's like, oh, I'm going to go live with my auntie if my parents don't want me, or I'm going to go with my grandma. And then they don't have anyone.
No.
So that's why they turn to the streets.
Yeah.
I actually saw that.
From your experience, the foster kids that you've had, have they come more from single parent homes or from family
Good
homes?
question.
Single family homes.
So like single moms more than anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Single
Yeah.
moms or moms in abusive relationships. And they don't really have, you don't really hear of like a lot of extended family. So they don't really have a lot of support either.
And that's part of the problem. A lot of these broken women come from places where they never had a support system. I mean, that's why I always tell people it's so important. If you have daughters, remind them how amazing they are. Teach your daughters not to settle for less. If you have sons, teach your sons how to treat, women and how to act. So when they do, grow up, they are able to lead by example. But a lot of these, it's a chain. It's like a chain we need to start breaking as humans. We're so privileged in this circle alone, right? So it's like, how do we break it? And it's like, we need to start being selfless, because everyone wants to get on social media and be political and say what's wrong with this country. And I always laugh and I always tell people, when's the last time you volunteered? Oh, well, no. If you didn't never volunteer, I don't even want to hear your voice. You're not being part of the solution. Posting stuff doesn't solve anything. I'm sorry to tell you that. Going on marches doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
Right? Those kids are still starving. They're still being
Exactly.
raped. They're still being molested. They're still going to be put in a different foster home. So when people want to get political and talk about marching with me, tell me the last time you actually volunteered, and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Until then, you're just a chihuahua barking. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. That's how I feel. I'm very passionate about it. So I hate when people want to be activists, but they're not activated. They're not active in anything. So like, what do you recommend? Like, if people are like, you know what, you're right, I want to be active. Is there any programs you like, or how do people become foster parents? And what do you recommend? And
Or what's another option
Yeah.
to be able to help? Like, I know you
Yeah.
mentioned the respite. Yeah.
So if you want to help out and you don't want the full commitment, you can do what's respite. You still have to go through the same process, the classes, and have your home inspected and stuff. But respite gives foster parents a break. So if they need time off, or they have a family emergency, or they want to go on vacation, and they're not able to bring the child with them, they ask for respite. And that's really needed. Like, you always on the Facebook group, you have foster parents asking for respite.
there's also Fostering Hope, which is what I volunteer in.
Mhm.
Fostering Hope, you have to do a background check, but what we do is we help with laundry. If like we help with schoolwork, we help with appointments, we help with court stuff. So like we have a foster family and they have to go to court for one child, we have to stay outside with the other child, or if they're overwhelmed, or if they're like, we help with all of that, right?
Yeah.
We have that. We're a support system and we work in groups. So foster care, Hannah's Closet, and then can you spell that one? Cause I'm
Hannah?
no, the other one.
Respite.
Respite?
Yeah.
Spell it?
Yeah.
RESPITE.
Okay.
Mhm.
And is that, can you find that just on Facebook?
No.
Okay.
So you have to go through the whole process of becoming a foster parent, and then specifically say, I only want to do respite. I don't want to take any placements. So you have to go to an orientation and they go over everything with you. And I think that's where mainly you decide if you want to go forward with it or not. And then they'll sign you up for the class, and then you just start the classes. But you can go on the Clark County website and like just type in adoption or foster foster care, and then it'll bring up the number. You can even call and ask when the next orientation is. But foster parents are needed, but it's also not for everyone. I know probably people listening to this are probably terrified and don't even want to do it. But
I'm good.
and when people say it takes a certain type of person, I always feel weird when people say that, because I mean, I don't know, I'm just me, you know, and
you
I
are a
don't think
certain
I'm
type of
any
person,
I don't think I'm any more special than the next person. But you do need to have some type of emotional strength. And I'm very empathetic, so I don't even know how I do this sometimes, because I'm super emotional. Like, I cry over everything. But it does, I guess it does take a certain type of person. You know, these kids are going to come into your home and they're going to get taken away, and you're going to be mad, you're going to be upset, and you're going to want to say things, and you can't. But we need more good foster parents.
more
Committed.
Committed.
Very committed.
long term.
Yeah.
What else, like donation wise? Like, what do you guys are usually like? The foster community is usually like short
In
on,
need of.
need of. Is it like car seats, strollers? Like, what is it that people can donate that you're usually like passing it around because you're short on?
So that's the thing. You have to have everything before they even place you. So like, if you're choosing to have kids that need to be in car seats, you need to have all of that before they even approve your license.
So you're coming
So
out of
you-
pocket for all this before it even gets approved for you to do it?
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to have a ladder in your home if you have a 2-story home. You have to have so many things. You need to lock up all your cabinets, so you're spending money on that. So, I mean, it is an investment in the beginning. It is. But, I mean, one thing I've noticed, and I'll be honest with you, is that foster parents don't really reach out on the outside world. They only reach out into the foster world.
Community. Yeah.
Yeah, and if Hannah's Closet sometimes actually gets really packed with a lot of things, and sometimes they don't even take that many donations. There's Peggy's Attic. There's also
yeah.
Peggy's Attic. It's on Child Haven, I think. I haven't used it. I've only used Hannah's Closet, but I think it's at Child Haven. And you can donate there. Clothes, diapers and wipes, and
Yeah.
you know, the expensive stuff. Because obviously you do get a monthly income for the child. It's not for you. It's for the child's needs.
For the child.
Right. It's for the child and their needs, because it's expensive. A newborn or an infant, it's expensive, you know. They are growing fast and they're growing out of clothes like crazy. And when you go to pick up that child at Child Haven, they're not really giving you anything. So you either pay out of pocket or you wait until the next day when Hannah's is open or something, or you go on Facebook and I'm about to take a placement. Does anyone have 0 to 3 month clothes? So yeah.
It's tough.
Well, I commend you, my friend.
Same. My respect.
My
to
respects.
you.
Yes.
And to the foster community, start reaching
Yes.
out to the people
Definitely.
outside. You know, we want to help too, and I think a lot of times people on the outside don't know how to help. They think it's either you're fostering or you're not, right? But there's so many different options. So I feel like maybe you guys should start challenging those around you that aren't foster parents, start stepping out of the community. I think that even though there's a lot of drama going on in the world and a lot of negativity, there's also a lot of people with the heart to make change, right?
Yeah.
There's the people that are like being part of the issue, and then there's people that are really like looking to feel complete, right? Because like all this drama, it's draining. So I feel like maybe as a community, a foster community, you guys should step out. You know, I think I would love to be involved, whether it's like a toy drive, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have our support for sure,
Definitely.
and I'll definitely make sure people are there. You know, drag them. They're gonna be there. I know that for a fact.
And
so
if,
yeah.
if you guys just get out into your community, if
Yeah.
it's not foster care you're passionate about, then whatever else you're passionate about, just go out there and ask, like, how can I help?
Yeah.
Especially now because of the whole pandemic thing. There's schools that are asking for volunteers as long as you have a high school diploma. Like, there's so many things now that you can go out there and help, especially with children, which is amazing. I did want to say one thing because I know you guys still have some more things to say, but you brought it up with some of the kids that you had that they fought each other or they hurt each other. The one thing that people need to understand, and I've been married twice, so that's why I say this, it all starts at home. If you are fighting with your significant other, your husband, this, that, and the kids see that and the children see these arguments, these fights, this loud noise, all this stuff going on, that's going to affect them as they get older. Because remember, that single mother that had to give up her child to be in foster care probably dealt with stuff when she was a kid and saw stuff, and then when she got older got into drug addiction or this and that because that's all they knew and saw. So I think it all starts at home, and if you have kids and you're having issues with your significant other, do it behind closed doors. Don't let your kids see it. Don't get loud enough to where they can hear it, because trust me, it's going to affect their lives moving forward.
100%. Yeah.
That's true. I believe that.
I've never been married, but I agree. I approve this message. I'm like,
man.
yeah.
I know. I also, you know, I work with people that have trauma, and, you know, I help them kind of release all that stuff that they have. And it is generational, and it is a cycle, and there has to be someone strong enough, or somebody that's aware enough to recognize it and say, no more. Like, I don't want to continue to pass this on to my kids. And there's this functional doctor that I see in California, and she said something that was so true. She said, there's no such thing as a genetic disorder. Okay, so don't let like your doctors or your family members say, you know, if your parents were diabetic, you're going to be diabetic. If your parents suffered from high cholesterol and died of a heart attack, it doesn't mean you are. The reason being is why that happens is because we mimic our parents. And so if our parents had an unhealthy lifestyle, we tend to have an unhealthy lifestyle, and then we develop those conditions, you know? And so that's what she was saying. There's no such thing. Like, you're born and you should not be, you know, you're not going to be born and be like, oh, your baby's going to be diabetic, FYI. Like, no. So it just takes that one person to change, and then a whole new cycle, because and it's not because their DNA or anything, it's because of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kids mimic their parents 100%. I mean, my kids, not my daughter more than anything, she mimics me. Anything I say, like, I always tell her, hey girl, so she'll tell me, hey girl.
Monkey
You
see,
know,
monkey do.
exactly. So, you know, and my husband's always like, oh my God, she talks like you and acts like you. And sometimes, you know, I see a little bit of him, you know, in her and stuff like that. So I'm very aware that our kids mimic us. And so I love on my kids a lot, like
Same.
excessively, because I want my kids to mimic that when they get older. So,
And then, like, to add to that, and I'm sure we'll have a show on this too, there's something called organized oppression, right? And I feel like if you see people who are in the system, 8 out of 10, their parents were on the system and their parents were on the system. And that started way back then. Okay, that started a long time ago. And there's so many misconceptions of how that worked. You know, we started blaming like drugs and cocaine and crack. They were gonna play Mexico for the cocaine, when actually it was asked for Mexico to create this for the war, right? And then it hit the streets. So we're gonna get into all of this. This is why it's called Breaking Apart. But the whole chain thing, you know, a lot of it's been created for a purpose, right? So it's a lot easier to go back to what you know, because fear will break you down and it will not let you move forward. So, and it, you know, and I really don't think mentally anybody is born and says, I want to be in the system. I never
Right.
want to do better. I never want to blow. I don't want to do that in my life. Right. So I feel like we need to start really like unfolding these like traumas and start giving these kids opportunity. But then at the same time, you have the military that goes to the low poverty schools to pick up these kids, because off the bat, they tell them how the military is going to help them pay for school and they have money. And then even foster kids, there's a lot of foster kids in the military, right? Because it's 18, military, you're good to go, because you don't know anything else. But the funny part is they don't go to these poverty schools with applications to colleges and ACTs and SATs. So we need to start as people being aware of this and start changing it, right? We're so worried about the wrong things. We're so worried about, you know, athletes and celebrities. And it's like, bro, we're falling apart.
Yeah.
These kids are this is who's going to run our future. I mean, politically, we are already kind of screwed. So let's try to fix this for our children.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's why like foster care is so important to me, because that's where it starts. Like,
also too, I think in society we make it really hard for parents to be parents. Like, jobs are very excessive with what they expect out of their employees, that don't allow them to be parents. I've lived in another country, and this is like a battle that I have all the time. I'm like, is this just happening here? Because there's other countries where the parents have so much time to be parents.
Mm-hmm.
And their jobs do require, obviously, for them to do what they need to do, but they give them like vacation. They close down, they sometimes even close down for the holidays, and everyone gets to be, with their families, and they do so many family events, and family's just everything. And here it's just work, 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 work. It's a beautiful country. There's so many great things here. But I feel that when it comes to family, we're failing.
We're a corporation. That's
Yeah.
all this country is. Well, we're kind of short on time. I think we have like two minutes around left.
2.5 minutes.
2.5. But we're definitely not
Yes.
done. There's so much more to unpack. Do us a favor and like send me some information on like where places people can volunteer. I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the video when I put it on YouTube at the bottom so people can see and be directed to that. Also, thank you for your time, and I hope this is
Thank
not the last
you.
time. I know, like, we're gonna go ahead and we're probably gonna plan something, and I think we should start not letting the companies take all the credit and start
Yeah.
giving it to the families,
Yeah.
and we got to do something about that. But I'm gonna go ahead and you guys can follow me at Soy La Misma Ruby on Instagram, and you can follow us at Breaking Apart Pod at Instagram, breaking_apart_pod at Instagram,
Underscore.
It was all taken.
And what about you, Jose? Where can they find you?
Jose Volonte, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm all over the place. Appreciate you, ladies.
Appreciate you.
Jasmine, where can they follow you?
You guys don't want to follow me.
Do.
JG.Caldera, Instagram.
I mean, these foster parents might. And what about,
True.
and you might be the motivation for some people to sign
Exactly.
up. You never know who
The
you
voice.
touched today.
The voice.
Yeah, follow me and ask me any questions that you have.
There you
Donate.
go. Yes. And follow me at agape love _Reiki.
Yes.
And guys,
Thank you so
raise
much.
your vibration.
Mucho y mucho amor. Raise
Bye.
your vibration.
Walter Mercado.
Thank you. See you next Wednesday.
Whoop, whoop.